Then welcome, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to have a new guest in the podcast so far. Have you ever participated in a pod before?
No, I actually haven't. So this
No.
is my first time, and it will be very interesting to see how this format works.
Do you consume a podcast a lot yourself?
Yeah, I do that almost daily. So anytime I have something boring to do, I just listen to a podcast. It's a good way to learn and to be entertained.
So you started in Zuma in May, and since then, and still we're working remotely. So how has the remote onboarding been so far?
Yeah, it's actually been good because I think Zuma prepared stuff in a good way. But of course, it's been challenges. I've only met my colleagues for real one time. So, but actually that time it didn't feel that strange because I had talked so much with almost everyone. So I almost instantly recognized who which person was which, and it felt quite like we have met before. It was good, and the onboarding because it has been like planned so that we have weekly or bi-weekly follow-ups. And it's very important, I think, to have that set up because you really need to inform and get informed in a way that you don't need when you're meeting physically. Yeah, there is no chat at the coffee machine and stuff like that where you have a reason to just meet someone. So you really need to plan the onboarding with frequent meetings. I think that's very important. And I think it worked quite well so far. The one of the good thing is that during these meetings, things are very focused. There is no one coming in and disturbing, and you are the attention of the person you have the meeting with is fully on you. So that's a good part,
Yeah,
I think.
that's good. Yeah, we haven't worked that much in projects together yet, but feels like the meetings we have had, it's high quality. You get a
Yeah.
relationship pretty quick when
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
one to one.
Very on point. I think so. That's good. But of course, you can miss some of the social aspects of it, and yeah. But let's see what's happening here in the future. But so far, I don't think I have any clear negative effects from not having a physical onboarding.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, for the listeners who don't know you yet, could you explain a bit about your background?
Yeah, I've actually been in the digital marketing area for let's see how many years. It must be 15, 17 years or something like that. So I've been working. I actually started in a small SEO company many years ago now, when SEO was just about creating titles and descriptions that worked, and then you could rank on almost any position with that small work. Yeah, and I've been working both in-house with the digital marketing and also as a consultant. And I've been at a range of different companies, both like pure SEO companies, but also companies working with lead generation towards high competitive markets, or in high competitive areas like finance and gambling and that kind of areas. I also worked more like in e-commerce businesses with that sells products online, and working with digital marketing in this kind of company. I was involved in a travel company where I worked with digital marketing, but also in setting up a new booking system. We built it almost from the ground up, and we replaced the existing one, and we had a very good result in doing this. So yeah, that was the last thing I did before joining Zuma.
And
So yeah, I will say that I have a very broad kind of technical background. I have done some programming. I've worked a lot with SEO and did some marketing. So I know a little to a lot about a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. So what will be your role at Zuma?
Yeah, the official role is a HubSpot configuration expert. So I will be very involved in setting up our HubSpot solutions. And in that, there is a lot of areas that you need to cover, from SEO to other technical stuff, like making sure the reporting is correctly set up and that it's technically correctly done, so that you have so that you can take advantage of all the potential in HubSpot. I'm also very involved in like SEO questions, of course, because that's my background. So I've been working on processes for Zuma's SEO efforts, like when we are when a new customer is coming in, what should we do? How should the process look like to prepare for excellent Google positions in the end? So yeah, so the SEO part is a large share of what I will work on here.
Yeah, that's great. And I think we're gonna dig deeper into the SEO and how the process looks there. But could you first
Yeah.
elaborate a bit on what's the main development and changes since you started at the SEO agency many years ago, and you
Yeah.
worked with titles and descriptions and so on, and what you're focusing today?
Yeah,
What's the main differences?
Google has evolved a lot since then. It's been harder to rank because in these days, back in the days, it was quite easy because there were no competition really. The people or the companies that recognize that, okay, we need to start working with SEO because it's an important area, they usually could rank well quite quickly because there were no competition. From this small, like, what you need to do was to change the titles, the description, make sure that there were, of course, a page representing the keyword or the phrase that you wanted to rank for. It's the same today, actually, so that hasn't changed much. But if you did that, and you also created some links to that page, because Google was actually, that was the difference when they came as a search engine, because they take the links to a page into account. That was different from AutoVist and the other search engines used at that time. So linking was still very important, and you could just add some links from a link directory or something like that, and you could rank it quite well. But today things have evolved into much more complicated stuff where Google takes into account the experience of the user a lot. I think that's one of the main focus today, and it's quite natural that it's going in that way, in that direction, because people that are searching Google, they want to be satisfied with the result, and that's what Google is trying to understand on the websites that they are indexing and ranking. Like, how is the experience in speed? How quickly is the page loading? How is the user experiencing this page? Is it easy to find what you need? Can you scan the page and understand what it's about? And how long time do you stay at the page and stuff like that? And that is something that has changed the SEO work a lot since the beginning, because now it's gone from just a more technical thing to it's a web experience thing right now. So and still there are things that are important, like linking to a web page. That is a clear quality factor that Google still looks at a lot. So so to be able to rank in the really competitive areas, you need to have everything in place. And some of the areas are harder to work with, like linking, but at Zuma, we are working a lot with the content of the websites, and that's really the way to go. Because if you create super content, links and other things or references from other sites will follow if you are creating very good content. So yeah, it's clear that or I mean, it's good that that is the focus today, creating high quality content with in a web structure and a UX interface that works. That is the way to go today.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And one thing you're very involved in is keyword research. Could you just explain briefly what it is and why it's important?
Yeah, most of the SEO project starts in that then, that you need to understand where the search volumes are and what are people searching for, and that will build your strategy going on with the other SEO efforts like page structures and all the content that you need to add. The process is actually to find where people are or how people are searching for the terms related to the area that you want to be visible in. Yeah, usually I start that process with a kind of brainstorm, because most of the time you don't know really exactly what keywords this kind of business is using. We meet a lot of different businesses in our job, and you need to sit down. It's good if you are a group of people to do this initial brainstorming, and also it's good to involve the customer, because they know their business. So and that will help us get to a level of kind of a starting level of keywords that we can use in further research. So that is the first step, like sitting down, brainstorming. And from that, I will usually ask Google, just if I search for these keywords that we know probably are important, what other sites are ranking for them, and how do they structure their content? These because Google is the answer in that case, because the sites ranking for these keywords, they are doing something right. So I think it's good to look at them. Of course, that's the that's where the answers are. So from these sites, I look into, okay, these are the sites ranking. They are competitors, at least at Google. It's not sure that they are competitors in like that the business see them as a competitor, but they are competitors on Google, and then we need to take them into account. So I continue to do some analysis on this sites. I check what keywords are they using, and there are also some tools that I use where you can just enter an URL and see what keywords are this site ranking for. We sometimes use a tool called SEMrush, but there are plenty of other doing similar things. But from there, you can see what are areas or clusters of keywords are these sites ranking for, and then I can just I just gather these keywords into a big document, and then I also use some tools where that extracts data from Google Suggest functionality. Because if you start writing something in the Google search field, you get suggestions on related searches, and that is also a gold mine when doing keyword research. So that is also a very important thing to look at in during the keyword process.
So you gather all these in one document, is that?
Yeah, exactly. That's usually, and I group them into different topics. It could be a top or a main topic. It could be, and under that a second topic, and then a third topic. Usually, it depends on how big the site is. But that's usually how I would do it. And from that, I add search volumes. Sometimes from tools I'm using, you get the search volumes directly but you could also extract the search volumes from different Google tools and from other tools, because you need to get a hint on, is this a used keyword? Is it worth focusing today Google is not giving away the exact search volumes. They have limited that in their like the Google Ads tool. So you need to, they are making things a bit harder, but at least we know that there is a search volume, and that is that's something that we need when selecting the keywords to work with.
And
So
and the volumes, are they based on like global searches or local?
you can depending on how you limit the tool that you're looking into, you can decide to look at the search volumes for a specific country globally, or I think down to a city or something like that, if it's enough volume. So and usually we are looking, as we are working with different markets, usually we look at the search volume for that specific market. If it's English keywords, we may look at it globally as well, because that's then we are focusing on the whole world of the google.com index, and then we need to look at it in that way.
Yeah.
So and from this list, where I have the keyword, like the gross keyword list, I will and we have the search volumes. We can also take into account the competition for these keywords, because some keywords are, of course, you want to rank for them, but it's the site's already there, or maybe Wikipedia, Amazon, and like the largest websites of the world, and then the competition is probably too hard, and then it's maybe we should not select that keyword to work with, at least not in the beginning, but then we can choose a keyword that maybe has 3 or 4 phrases in it, but the main part of that keyword is this high competitive keyword. So in that case, we can start to create content around that area. And the competition can also be drawn from the search Google Ads interface. But I also usually do some manual checkings on this, because that interface won't tell you everything. It's good to see what kind of sites are ranking for these keywords, and then you need to put some time to manually check that.
Okay, so relevance, volume, and competitions. Are there any other indicators on what's a good keyword?
Yeah, of course, you can have some manual judgment also if it's a good keyword, because at this time you have probably learned a bit about the company that you're working for, and you can, like with by looking at the keyword and doing this research that I've done before, looking at other sites ranking, I can usually judge if it's relevant for this site to work with. So I use my experience for when selecting these keywords. So and then when you have this list, you have a good range of keywords to select from, and then you may do some preparations, but then you, together with the customer, also can select what keywords we decide to go for. That is the process, and it could take some time, because as this is the kind of foundation for your ongoing SEO work, I think it's worth putting in some time into doing this right. And it will also be kind of having this document will be you can have it as a reference when you're creating content later on. Maybe you have the site is live and things are working well, but then you need to create a new section or something like that, and then you can use this initial keyword research as a base for that. So I think this research is used both during the go live, the initial project of building the sites, but it can also be used later on. So it's definitely worth spending some time on this area.
That's very good explanation of the process. Are there any other main learnings you can share from your experience working with keyword research for a long time?
Yeah, I would say don't trust the tools too much. There are a lot of tools saying that we can just enter a base keyword or a website here, and we will give you the full, or we will handle the keyword research. And I would say that not any of these tools that I've tested will give a perfect result. You always need to put in a lot of manual work on this, because all of these tools are limited by the data that is put into the tool. Like someone needs to decide for this tool what kind of keywords or which keywords do we need to check Google on, which sites are ranking, because they are using keyword lists in the at the basis of their research, and they are not getting, or the tools are not better than their keyword lists. And I've seen that especially for, like, if you're looking for Swedish data in such tools, they're very limited. So you won't be helped much from that. It's better if you look maybe in US, because then they have better base list of keywords. There you can you will get a better result. But working with different, like, European markets, like we do a lot of on Zuma, you need to put in the manual efforts to get a good result. So yeah, there are no quick ways of doing this, I'll say.
No, so don't trust the tools. Trust Daniel.
Yeah, use
That's
them as to support you, but don't trust them to make all the work for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for participating in this episode, Daniel.
Thank you very much.